What's up, Core? What's up, Core? I'm streaming on all the channels today. I'm streaming on all the channels today. All the channels. I'm gonna get up here reading, do my thing. Get up here, do my thing. Right now, we're studying. We're recertifying for one of my certifications. You can read it in the title. So we're going to read, eat, enjoy, elaborate, conversate, and recertify. Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying, baby. Right now we're on lesson 1.4. What's up, Niche? Good to see you. What's up? Good to see you again. I ain't seen a minute. I don't be up here like that no more. But currently, this is different than what I typically do. We're recertifying, making jokes about IT stuff. I'm not gonna lie, that's what I'm gonna do this whole time. I'm gonna crack jokes about this stuff because I think it's funny, and you know, possibly learn some stuff. That's what it's all about. But good to see you, Niche. How's life been? How's life been? Life's been good. I don't know if I told you we had our wedding while I was gone, right? Me and the wife, we had our wedding. We were already married, right? But we had the wedding, big wedding ceremony with all the family and everything coming down here. So it was nice. It was nice. It was nice. Hey, same. Glad to say you was well. But and everybody was like, "Yo, this the wedding to beat," and I was like, "That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But it was a great time. You feel me? It was a great time. Everybody had a good time. Dancing. We had a dude walking around on stilts. You feel me? We had dancers. You feel me? Then we had a coffee stand and an ice cream stand. Obviously, we had the bar, right? You can't have the wedding without the bar. Um, had the dance floor. I was out there getting down. I was out there leading the dances, sweet feet, you know, cha cha slide, Cupid shuffle, all the classics. Oh man, it was a great time. Not gonna lie, I had a great time. I'm, and now that we spent all that money, we have to get smarter so we can recuperate those funds, baby. We got to get smarter so we can recuperate those funds, baby. Golly. It was money well spent, though. Money well spent. You feel me? Money well spent. I enjoyed it. But right now, we're talking about cryptographic solutions, right? We're talking about PKI before, PKI, private network, stuff like that. It's things tickle my pickle and make me giggle. Is that you, Mr. What's up? What's up, Wes? I haven't seen you in a long time. We should have the same name, bro. What's up with you? What's up? Good to see you again. I haven't seen you in a minute. Yes, get them funds. I'm just all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So I got to get smarter. My brain has to get smarter so I can make some of this money back. Oh man, I can tell you how much we spent, but if you ever looked at how much a wedding costs, you understand. You feel me? Oh man, you feel me? Oh man, what is a great time? I had a great time, and it's good to see everybody. It's good to see y'all again. You feel me? I'm probably gonna do more content. I've said it several times. But now that my mind can focus on other things other than those things now, you feel me? I have more mental capacity for stuff like this. Uh, do we share the same name? No. Well, my name Chris. My real name's Chris. Um, but yeah, now that I can focus on other things other than that now, and my mind has more space in it for other things in it, you know, it's okay. Now we can do these other stuff that I wanted to do anyways, but just didn't have the capacity for all of these things that's happening at one time. um, we'll tell stories about the wedding at a different time. I got videos, I got pictures. We'll have a breakdown of my in-game footage of my dancing. You feel me? We'll break down the in-game footage of all my dance moves. You feel me? How I led the cha-cha slide and the Cupid shuffle. Uh, uh, you feel me? That's funny. Yeah, Mr. Core is better. I'm not gonna lie. Chris is just a basic name. You feel me? Super basic. That's why my channel name is not Chris. Oh man. But you know, we'll break down in-game footage later, but right now we have to get smarter so I can make some money back. All right, let's get it. Crypt, crypto processors and secure enclaves. So this is going to be pretty fun. I like stuff like this. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, y'all know me, right? We got Jesus. We got psychology. I like people, and I like IT stuff. You feel me? So you're learning more about me every single day. We already did our 1 year Bible read, Jesus. Uh, what else did I say? What else? What I don't even remember. Let's get into it, and let's get into doing some learning for real quick. So a key or a secret key can be generated and stored in the file system or on a desktop or server computer running a general purpose OS. This has a number of drawbacks, however. So we're gonna get into remember Skit started the whole Mr. Core thing. Facts. I do remember that. Skit. I do, man. It's good times, huh? It's good times. I'm not gonna lie. We're gonna have more good times. You feel me? Um, a cryptographic key needs to be generated using a random process, right? So the keys, right? They can't be um, generated with a set in stone process, or they're easy to guess. Like these kind of keys, they need to be generated randomly because it allows it to not be so settable to somebody hacking into a system, right? Um, but let's read about why. It needs to be generated using a random process. A key generating system with a degree with a high degree of disorder or entropy ensures that any value from the possible key space has the same chance of being selected as any other. Unfortunately, computer hardware and software are extremely low entropy. Computers process instructions in an entirely deterministic way. A, a computer can use pseudo RNG, PRNG software that is still deterministic, but able to approximate a high level of disorder. Better security is attained through true random number generator (TRNG) hardware. This uses a source of entropy such as noise or air movement as a non-deterministic seed for generating the key value. So it just keeps. So all that said, right? All this said was computers are super basic. I don't know if you know this, but a computer is computer and most networking hardware. IT people consider all that stuff like dummy equipment because it doesn't know how to do anything until you tell it what to do, right? So computer is like dummy equipment, but you can make a computer better by like adding your little stuff into it, right? You have people who have their own little shells like Kali Linux, um, or little overlays of different computer softwares where you can put something on top of a Windows device. Even on Apple, you can still do some of those same things. Um, but all they really told you is a computer is dumb, and you can make a computer smarter. You can make devices smarter by adding a random process to how they get into some of their security and protection sequences, right? What makes it a little more random and not so generic, because most of the things are generic. They're generic values. They're filled in. They're already put in their computer. They're already going to do the same thing every single time. They don't do anything outside of the ordinary, just so the system is stable, creates stability. um, but if you were in a security environment that needed more secure stuff, um, you can have the same stability, but you can add your own little things to it to make it more secure for yourself. So stable and secure, right? That's what you really want. So a key stored in the file system is only as secure as any other file. It could easily be compromised via the user credential or physical theft of the device. It is also difficult to ensure that the key is fully audited. Ideally, cryptographic storage is tamper evident. This means that it is known immediately when a private or secret key has been compromised, and it can be revoked, and any ciphertext be re-encrypted with a new key. I used to do a bunch of key encryption back in the days. Um, and whenever a key was compromised, you have to get a new key. You have to get a new key, and then you have to rekey the whole process and then redo the whole thing. Um, so you pretty much just garbage the old one and you get a whole new one, right? Um, let's get into pseudo RNG working during key generation using GPG. So this is just a screenshot of what it does on the inside of the computer, right? So you can see you selected user James Bengelli. I found his name through here, right? We want to change name, change comment, email, or quit. You want to generate random bytes and then go ahead to perform, blah, blah, blah. It goes through like, what it's going to do here. You're going to say yes to whatever it is, and it's going to rekey that user, right? He's going to get a new user key here, and it then tells you when the key expires as well. So his key lasts probably through that day, so about 12 hours. Hey, that's relevant, bro. I understand. I was playing Rocket League and I deleted the game. That's very relevant information there, Wes. I'm telling you right now. I was playing Rocket League 3 days ago. Game out on my computer no more right now because of that very same thing right there. You understand? That very same thing right there made me delete Rocket League. I was platinum, finally made it to platinum in the ones, and then I went on a crazy streak. And then I told myself, yo, I'm gonna win one more game and I'm deleting this game. I'm, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna quit this game on a losing streak. You feel me? I'm gonna get a win before I cut this game off. I'm gonna get one more win in this game. It's gone, cooked, deleted. Its goose has been cooked. You feel me? And it is gone. Look on my desktop, you ain't gonna find it. All right, but let's get back into this reading. These drawbacks can be addressed by using a crypto processor for key generation and storage because it is dedicated to a single function. The crypto processor hardware has a smaller attack surface than a general purpose computer. A crypto processor can perform operations such as decryption and signing on behalf of apps. This means that the key material never leaves the crypto processor. There are two main ways of implementing crypto processor hardware: TPMs and HSMs. All right, let's get into what a TPM and an HSM is. But before we get into this really quickly, we're just going to go over these two paragraphs really fast one more time. So cryptographic keys need to be generated using a random process, right? What is this? This is a security course. This is a cert. I'm recertifying through this course. One of my security IT um, certifications that I have. What we do is we learned about security processes on the internet and on IT infrastructure, and then we're breaking it down to the simplest levels possible, which means I'm going to compare this IT equipment to human stuff. You know, that's how I understand IT stuff. I break down all the stuff I learned from IT and I put it into a human um, like situation, pretty much. Um, and so with this cryptographic key needs to be generated using a random process, right? So why would you do that? What's the big idea for doing something like that, and how can we make this more relatable to like us so it just stays in our mind, right? So if you were if you had this really reputable business, right, and your business was dictated on how exclusive it is, right? The exclusivity is what is it like coding? Not really like coding. It has concepts of coding and how to code of some sorts, but it's not generally like coding. These are just security processes against all the facets of the entire process of IT. So this is like an all-encompassing thing. So it's going to have some of that in there on how to secure those kind of processes, but it's really an all-encompassing security for like all of the stuff. So many words and so little pictures is what I'm saying. That's why I got to break it down and give you a story, right? That's why I always tell stories whenever I do all this learning. I tell myself stories. But so um, so imagine, right? Imagine with me. We got us a reputable business, right? You feel me? Reputable business, and the reputation of this business is based on how exclusive the business is. Um, so there's a random code that certain people, you know how some of the bars, some of the clubs you go to, there's like a code word to like the club and the bar. What is the same kind of situation? So there's a random code to get into the club and the bar because it's the pop in this club in the city, right? The pop in the spot in the city. Everybody at the spot. This is where everybody get moving, grooving, bobbing, and sliding, right? I stole that from somebody I watch on Facebook. It's funny, but um, but when you go to the club, you have to have a code, but they randomly change that code. Well, that code is not based on like a like what the last code is, right? The code is not based on the last code, so that means that code is randomly generated. It means the code has nothing to do with the last code, so it's hard to guess, and that's the point of this. The code to that club. I know, bro. But I'm just giving you. Look, we're going to school in the class. You in class, right? You got some cool kids at the lunch table. You feel me? It's the cool kid table in the lunchroom. You feel me? But at the cool kid table in the lunchroom, they like, hey, what's the code to sit at the table with us, bro? You like, cool guy, 97. Wrong code. And they jump you. Wrong code. Now you got jumped. You feel me? That's it. Right? And that's what this is. You get the wrong code when you get there, you're not getting in. They might not jump you, but you're not gonna be able to sit there. And that's what this is, right? But that's why you want a randomly generated code. So at that cool kid table, the code to sit at the table with the cool kids is not based on the previous codes, right? So if they had a system of not basing their codes on the previous codes, that's just what this represents, right? So in order to sit at that table, you must stay in line with the cool kids. So in order to be able to use these cryptographic keys, you must be in the loop, right? You can't just access it based on previous access. You must always stay in the loop here, right? So yeah, it's about need to know. It covers need to know access. You haven't lived life, you've never been jumped at school, but I get it now. So you have need to know access, right? Cool kids, they like, oh, only the cool kids sit at the table. You ain't cool enough to get that code. You ain't sitting here. You feel me? That's all it is. You ain't cool enough to get the code, you're not getting in. That's all. Bet. I'm glad I don't have to tell any more stories. I'm glad we can move on to our next thing, right? Trusted platform module, because I got 8 different stories for every situation. I'm not gonna lie. Um, a trusted platform module (TPM) is a crypto processor implemented as a module for a discrete computer platform, right? So such as a desktop computer, mobile device, or an embedded system. TPM's trusted platform modules are produced to different 1.2 and 2.0 version specifications. Version 2.0 is not backward compatible with version 1.2, and most vendors depreciate version 1.2. It's good information to know. As well as the supported version, there are 3 principal ways of implementing a TPM, a trusted platform module. Discrete means that the TPM is implemented as a dedicated chip. This provides tamper resistance and the smallest attack surface. Integrated means that the TPM is part of a chipset or CPU that performs other functions. Its implementation is not tamper resistant and has a broader attack surface. Firmware means the TPM is implemented in the platform's low-level operating code. This depends on the secure enclave function on the secure enclave function of the CPU or chipset to protect the cryptographic material. Examples of these include Intel's Platform Trust Technology (PTT) and AMD's FTPM. This implementation is not tamper resistant and has the broadest attack surface, encompassing the code underpinning the CPU or chipset secure enclave functionality. Okay, so what did this just go over, right? We'll go into this one really quickly because that was just a bunch of jargon and not really anything to really grab onto. What this means and what this is going over to trusted platform module. This is pretty much is discussing. Give me one moment to make sure I'm verifying and not giving you bad information. There are 3 principal ways of implementing TPM. Discrete means the TPM is implemented as a dedicated chip, provides temper resistance and the smallest attack surface. So it has its own dedicated chip, it has its own trusted platform. It's not associated with any of the other devices in like the chip, the CPU, or is not being housed on another device that could be tampered with, right? So it has its own dedicated little chip inside the computer, right? Because we're talking about computer chips inside of a computer at this point, right? Um, the second level of doing a TPM, right, is having it on the CPU, right? And you can tamper with a CPU, right? I don't know if you guys ever built your own computer. Back in the days, I showed my little cousin how to build his own computer, and that's how I learned how all this stuff, right? Um, and then recently, I gave him my desktop computer because I told him if he could fix it, he could have it, and he fixed it, so he could have it. um, but when you put the TPM on the CPU, it has another layer of uh, All this is explaining. I just want to break this down as simple as possible. All this is explaining when you have multiple things tied to stuff. So if multiple people know the same information, it's easier to get the information out of somebody because it's another person you can talk to get that information. That's what it's saying here, right? So um, when the TPM is by itself, you can only get the information from the TPM, and it's the trusted platform module. It's hard to get in there, right? But if you have it with TPM and Joe Schmo, we would call him the CPU Joe Schmo, right? Joe Schmo might allow you in, and that gives you backdoor access to the TPM, right? So the more things you add, the more little extra pieces you add to the TPM makes it more susceptible to vulnerabilities, right? So you want to keep it, you really want to have it as its own dedicated thing. Is really all it's trying to say. You really wanted to have it be its own dedicated thing. And what is it? And what does it do? We'll get into that here further in our next sections. But let's get into hardware security module. A hardware security module, HSM, is a crypto processor hardware implemented in a removable or dedicated form factor, including rack-mounted appliances, plug-in PCI adapter cards, and USB-connected security keys. It is also possible to provision an HSM hardware security module as a virtual appliance, where a TPM is designed to validate the security of a discrete computing platform such as a desktop computer or laptop. An HSM provides either centralized key storage for network hosts or portable key storage that people can use on different devices. All right, hardware security module appliance in a rack mounted form factor. Let's get into this next paragraph. After this next paragraph, we'll talk about the HSM. Secure enclave. Using a crypto processor means that keys are not directly accessible via the file system. The crypto processor interacts with applicants that need to access the key via an application programming interface API that, that implements PKC's number 11. One vulnerability in the system is decrypted data needs to be loaded into the computer system's memory RAM for applications to access it. This raises the potential for a malicious process to gain access to the data via some type of exploit. This vulnerability can be mitigated by implementing a secure enclave. A trusted execution environment (TEE) secure enclave, such as the Intel Software Guard extensions, is able to protect data stored in the system memory so that the untrusted process cannot read it. A secure enclave is designed so that even processes with root or system privileges cannot access it without authorization. The enclave is locked to a list of one or more digitally signed processes. So this is more of a closer to a zero trust thing. So just to cover zero trust means I don't trust you. You don't have. I don't trust you until I can validate you. That's what zero trust means. I don't trust you. You don't have any permissions until I validate you. You know, so that means when you meet a new person, right? Just to put this back to human perspectives, um, when I meet you for the first time, I don't inherently trust everything you said. You feel me? I don't inherently trust everything you said. I'm listening to you and I'm learning your behavior over time, right? And that's what a zero trust environment does. That's what something like this does, right? I'm listening to your behavior over time, right? I'm validating who you are, right? So now I can tell whether or not I should allow you in or I should block your access, right? It's the same thing. Um, but let's go over a hardware security module HSM. So let's go over this first line really quickly, just so you know what it is. A crypto processor hardware implemented in a removable or dedicated form factor, including rack-mounted appliances, plug-in PCI adapter cards, and USB-connected security keys. It is also possible to provision HSM as a virtual appliance. All right. So a TPM is designed to validate the security of a discrete computing platform, right? So we just talked about a TPM, and what is that designed to do? To validate the design and the security of a computing platform, right? Well, the HSM provides either centralized key storage for network hosts or portable key storage that people can use on different devices. So an HSM, yep, is basically a very guarded person. Facts. An HSM has the keys. I got the keys, the keys, the keys. I got the keys, the keys, the keys. I don't know the rest of the words. I just know those. I just know that line. But uh, an HSM holds the keys, right? It's like, okay, I got the keys on me, and whenever you need me, I'm ready to be used. But there's still a validation process, and that's why there's the secure enclave here for that. Just so you can protect that information that's on the HSM, right? Uh, because then the information gets stored where? In the computer system's memory, the RAM, the randomly accessible memory, you know? So We don't want it stored there. We want it protected by something. So that's what the secure enclave comes into place, right? It's like, okay, you got the keys, but I got the security. You feel me? You feel me? I got the protection. You feel me? I got the yapper. The secure enclave is the guy is the bodyguard. So the HSM is the rich dude with the money bags on him, right? I got the bags on me paper. The secure enclave is the bodyguard with the blammers. You feel me? Do you understand? You feel me? That's all you need to know. That's how you remember that. That's how I remember that. So what is the HSM, chat? Money bags. I got the keys. I got the information. I got all the information, right? Because the information is the money bags. You feel me? I got the money. I got the information. I got the bag on me. But what does what does the secure enclave do for the HSM? He brings the yappers out. I'm the bodyguard. You feel me? There we go. All right. Now let's get to the next section. 1.5 Domain Assessment 1.0 General Security Concepts. 100% passive score. And I have to do this test, but I can't do test compromise. So I have to I have to I thought this was going to happen at the end of the other one. I thought it was going to be at the very end of the whole thing, but it's not. So maybe I should just move on to the next section and just come back to it. I'm going to get 100 regardless. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to get 100 regardless, so I'm not worried about that. So let's just get on to the next section. Domain 2, threats, vulnerabilities, and mitigations. Understanding the landscape of security threats begins with recognizing a variety of threat actors, such as cybercriminals, insiders, hacktivists, and nation-state attackers, each with their own motives ranging from financial gain to political objectives. These actors exploit multiple threat vectors and attack surfaces, including email, networks, and devices to infiltrate systems and compromise sensitive data. Organizations must be aware of different types of vulnerabilities, such as unpatched software, weak passwords, and misconfigured systems that can be exploited by adversaries. By identifying and analyzing indicators of malicious activity like anomalous behavior or unauthorized access attempts, cybersecurity professionals can quickly detect and respond to threats. This comprehensive approach strengthens a security posture against ever evolving cyber risk. I added a word there, but I feel like it was a good word to add there. In this module, you will analyze threat actors, motivations, identify attack surfaces and threat vectors. Ooh, this is a juicy section right here, chat. Not gonna lie, it's a juicy section right here. It's one of those sections. One of those you may learn a lot sections. Understand various types of vulnerabilities and analyze indicators of malicious activity. The first section was really just a lot of basic information. Um, we're gonna get into the some of the nitty gritty. This probably won't be all the nitty gritty because we still got three more sections to go. Yep, security architecture, domain, security operations, and program management and oversight. So the last section is probably gonna be easy. Section 2, 3, and 4 probably has some good information in it. The section 5 probably just, you know, common sense. But let's get into some good reads. Motivations of threat actors 211. Motivation is a threat actor's reason for perpetrating the attack. This is great. Telling you, I'm telling y'all, IT is just people as robots. Not gonna lie. All right, I got you. If you don't understand, let me know and I will break it down. All right. Um, so motivations, right? So this is going to go over um people-based stuff. So there's gonna be a bunch of people-based stuff, and I tell you a lot. I talk about this all the time whenever I talk to people about IT stuff. I say IT stuff is really just um people. Not even gonna lie. It's real easy to compare IT stuff to like real life situations. Um, but motivation is the threat actor's reason for perpetrating the attack. A malicious threat actor could be motivated by greed, obviously, curiosity, or some grievance, for instance. Threats can be characterized as structured, targeted, or unstructured and opportunistic, depending on how wildly an attack is perpetrated. For example, a criminal gang attempted to steal customers' financial data from a company's database system. From a company's database system. Hold up. Is a structured targeted threat. Yeah. An unskilled hacker launching some variant of "I love you" email worm sent to a stolen mailing list is an unstructured, opportunistic threat. A threat actor with a malicious motivation can be contrasted with accidental or unintentional threat actor. An unintentional threat actor represents accidents, oversights, and other mistakes. To help to analyze motivations, it is first useful to consider the general strategies that a threat actor could use to achieve an objective. Service disruption. I talked about this earlier, but this was on a different stream. So service disruptions. Service disruptions are just stalling. Service disruptions are stalling, right? Prevents an organization from working as it normally does. This could involve an attack on their website or using malware to block access to servers or and employee workstations. Service disruptions can be an end in itself if the threat actor's motivation is to sow chaos or gain revenge. Service disruptions can be used as a blackmail threat or can be used as a tactic in the pursuit of something different, of some different strategic objective. So service disruptions. Service disruptions are typically to delay something, right? They're usually there to keep you off of the trail of something else, right? They're used to distract you from the real objective, right? I'm gonna disrupt you from the moment so you can look at something else so I can go steal something else. So the example I used earlier was, what if I was a con man, right? And I was telling you a riddle. Upsy daisy, toosy loosey. How do you find who the toozy? Who the choosy? There we go. Right? And I'm distracting you with this stupid riddle for no absolutely no reason. But I'm the service disruption. I'm disrupting your attention from what you should actually be paying attention to. So if I'm running this scam, I have another friend here, right? Who is doing what I actually want him to do, which is to steal your wallets while I distract you with this stupid riddle, right? So I'm gonna have me a pickpocket homie who's real good at pickpocketing while I tell you this dumb riddle to distract you. And while you're thinking about how to solve this riddle, you won't notice that somebody's tugging at your back pocket to pull your wallet out. And that's the same thing with service disruptions. When I disrupt your website for a little while and I go steal something else while you trying to fix this website, that's what's happening. You're trying to fix his website, but in the meantime, I'm actually getting what I actually want. The things they do in Paris, the facts. Now, data exfiltration. Transfers a copy of some type of valuable information from a computer or network without authorization. A threat actor might perform this type of theft because they want the data access for themselves, because they can exploit its loss as a blackmail or to sell it to a third party. Okay, so data exfiltration, right? It's pretty self-explanatory. It's when you make a copy of something without, you know, it's when you get information without having the need to know access, right? And it's just like if you were a person, and you real good. I'm a great people watcher. It's one of my great things I do. I know a lot of information strictly from people watching. You feel me? I know a lot of information strictly from people watching. And so, uh, hey, what's up, Auntie? What's up? Um, so what I would do, and if I was trying to get some data, right, I would listen, but not seem like I'm not paying attention. And that's pretty much I'm getting a copy of the information, right, without you really knowing about it. And that's really what that is. I'm finding a way to get the information without you knowing about it. Data exfiltration. Now, disinformation falsify some type of trusted resource, such as changing the content of a website, manipulating search engines to inject fake sites, or using bots to post false information to social media sites. So, disinformation. I mean, you've seen disinformation in like politics, right? I'm not political, but this is a great example. Um, but you see disinformation in different kinds of politics, right? Wow, where they tell you one thing, but it means it's really not the real true information. It's kind of the real information. It looks like it could be correct. You feel me? It looks true enough to trick you, right? But I'm really lying, you know? that's no, that's disinformation for you, and that's politics. There we go. It seems true, but I'm really lying, you know. I'm really not gonna make no change. I I really don't mean to make any change in this world. But I know it sounds good to tell you that I'm going to do that. You know, that's this information right there for you. Oh man, it's funny. Chaotic motivations. In the early days of the internet, many service disruptions and disinformation attacks were perpetrated with the simple goal of causing chaos. Facts. Hackers might deface websites and release worms that brought corporate networks to a standstill for no other reason than to gain credit for the hack, right? Hey, my name big now. The type of vandalism for its own sake is less prevalent now. Attackers might use service disruption and disinformation to further political ends. I'm telling you, I didn't just read that. I didn't just read that. I just know. Or nation states might be used to further war aims. Another risk is for actors motivated by revenge. Revenge attacks might be perpetrated by an employee or firm or former employee or by any external party with agreements. Um, as they say in most situations, the weakest point of failure in every company is people. Um, at the end of the day, because you can make somebody mad, or somebody could just do something for absolutely zero reason, or they could be doing this to make some more money and get some cheddar in their pocket, you know. So everybody knows, if you ever done any IT stuff, the point of failure in every company is people. Financial motivations. That's why you want to be good to the people who work for you. You know, you always want to be good to the people that's around you, because those are that's what will either make or break your company, right? As hacking and malware became both more sophisticated and better commodified, the opportunities to use them for financial gain grew quickly. Sorry about that. If an attacker is able to steal data, they might be able to sell it to other parties. Alternatively, they might use an attack to threaten the victim with a blackmail or extortion to perpetrate fraud. Blackmail. Now we all know what blackmail is. Blackmail. I know you. I got some dirt on you. You're dirty. You're dirty. And you're dirty. You thought you were clean, and I got it. Now do what I say, or everybody will know you're dirty. Blackmail. Simple. I don't think I need to say that. Blackmail and extortion are pretty much the same thing. I don't understand the point of the two different words, but I guess you can extort somebody without having blackmail. But most of the time, people are getting extorted by blackmail. You know, fraud. Now, fraud is one of the most normal things on the internet. That's why you don't respond to text messages that come from numbers you don't know. You don't respond to emails. You don't click on emails, and you also don't click on hyperlinks in that come to you in your email. You type the URL in yourself. Now, I'm gonna tell you something you might not know. Them characters in them little email browsers that you use when you go in your email and you click on that link in there, there could be 8 different viruses in that one email link, in that one link, because every character is 256 bits. So you can hide a virus in every single character. You feel me? So, um, you don't want to click on emails, stuff in the emails. Facts, you know. You never want to click on links in your emails, links in your text messages. If you get a link to a website in your email or your text message, go to your internet browser and type it in yourself. You know, because they could also be faking the URL, right? Which makes it look like it's a real URL, but it could also embed viruses in the URL link. You feel me? So don't click on those. You feel me? Saves you some money. Saves you some money. Saved you some coins. Hope I saved you some coins. Political motivations. Political motivation means that the threat actor uses an attack to bring out some type of change in society or governance. This can cover a wide variety of motivations. I don't think we really need to read this, to be completely honest. So I'm just gonna go over it. Um, clearly, if you don't notice in the world, people use political things to justify all their trash behavior all the time, right? And one of the trash behaviors that people justify is hacking into people's stuff and stealing their information to use it against them to say they're doing something bad. Um, you know, so uh, I don't trust these people typically because they'll justify themselves into oblivion. Um, you know, because they'll say it's for a good cause. Well, you're going into somebody's personal stuff and their personal things that you don't should not be having access to at all in the first place to make them look bad in front of people, which typically makes people do more bad stuff anyways, you know? The fear of being exposed doesn't stop people from doing things. It actually makes them do more stuff. So, um, you know, psychology 101. But hackers and hacktivists 2.12. Given awareness of the general strategies and motivations, it can be also helpful to evaluate the risk that well-known threat actor types or profiles pose to a business. Hackers. Hackers describe an individual who has the skills to gain access to computer systems through unauthorized or unproven means. Originally, hacker was a neutral term for a user who excelled at computer programming and computer system administration. Hacking into a system was a sign of technical skill and creativity that gradually became associated with illegal or malicious system intrusions. The terms unauthorized, previously known as black hat, and white hat, and authorized, previously known as white hat, are used to distinguish these motivations. A white hat hacker always seeks authorization to perform penetration testing of private and proprietary systems. So there are good hackers and there are bad hackers, right? Yeah, it's really rare for them to actually anything to actually really happen, unless they're big, you know, unless they're really big and they did something really crazy, then they'll probably go after them for a while. Sometimes they get caught, and then a lot of times they don't get caught though. That's why there's so many documentaries about them. But there are good hackers, right? There are white hat hackers. I used to work with a pen tester. They're usually called pen testers, right? I used to work with a pen tester, and pen tester means penetration testing, right? And that just is I'm testing to see how well your network, your environment is to somebody trying to get in there, right? So a white hat hacker is a useful tool. It shows you how well protected your network or your platform is, right? So there are good hackers, but obviously there are also bad hackers. They're good and bad in everything, right? Now, unskilled attackers. An unskilled attacker is someone who uses hacker tools without necessarily understanding how they work or having the ability to craft new attacks. Unskilled attacks might have no specific target or any reasonable goal other than gaining attention or proven technical abilities. Typically, when I see if you were going to do an unskilled hacker is to learn something. I don't really agree with this text here. An unskilled hacker is someone who is trying to learn how to hack, right? That's what an unskilled hacker is. Someone who's trying to learn how to hack and they're just trying to test different things out. They're not really trying to prove how smart they are. They're trying to learn how to use the tools, right? But they usually use a lot. They usually leave a lot of back doors to be caught, right? So if you were a unskilled hacker and you were trying to be a white hat hacker, right? A pen tester, um, you would go into an environment you create for yourself, not on the active internet, and you would test your hacks based on that environment, so you don't go to jail. You feel me? So you don't go to jail. So you must create an environment to test your hacking on. You feel me? So you don't go to jail. Because an unskilled hacker leaves back doors to find out who hacked the system, and if they did something they weren't supposed to into a big company or something like that, you go in jail. Hacker teams and hacktivist. The historical image of a hacker is that of a loner acting as an individual with few resources or funding. While the lone hacker remains a threat that must be accounted for, threat actors are now likely to work as part of a team or group. The collaborative team effort means that these threat actors are able to develop sophisticated tools and novel strategies. A hacktivist group uses cyber weapons to promote a political agenda. Hacktivists might attempt to use a data exploitation to obtain and release confidential information to the public domain, perform service disruption attacks, or to face websites that spread disinformation. Political, media, and financial groups and companies are at most risk of becoming a target for a hacktivist. But environmental and animal advocacy groups may target companies in a wide range of industries. That is interesting. But yeah, obviously, I don't think I really need to go over that one. There's a lot more groups of hackers now. There's like groups you can join nowadays. There's like a Discord you can join for hackers. I wouldn't join any of these unless I was under an alias of some sort. Um, just so if I was to ever decide to do something crazy in my life, you would never be able to find where I learned the information from. That if I was to do something crazy like that. All right, lesson 2:2. Understanding the methods by which threat actors infiltrate networks and systems is essential for you to access the attack surface of your networks and deploy controls to block attack vectors. The attack is all the points at which a malicious threat actor could try to exploit a vulnerability, any location or method where a threat actor can interact with a network, port, app, computer, or user is part of a potential attack surface. Minimizing the attack surface means restricting access so that only a few known endpoints, protocol ports, and service methods are permitted. Each of these must be assessed for vulnerabilities and monitored for intrusions. So this is one of the things I do on a day-to-day basis. This is one of the things I do on a day-to-day on the wonderful World Wide Web. You do. Every time you join something, every time you join a different group, every time you expose just a little more information about yourself, you're leaving footprints. Back in the days, I didn't post pictures on the internet. I would never post anything I was doing actively. You know, I would only ever post things I was doing actively that were positive things. You know, because there's no reason for the internet to know anything else about you. At all whatsoever. And if I were to ever do anything ever crazy, well, I'm not saying I ever have, but if I were to ever do anything crazy, I would have, different security steps about protecting my identity, you know? But I don't think I would want to do something like that. It's just not my cup of tea. But somebody else might be sipping. You feel me? So just help me out. All right, one, public facing servers get hacked. Okay, but let me go over this really quickly. So ports and things, protocols, and different kind of service methods. This is something I do on a daily basis. In firewall security environments, you want to minimize the amount of ports that are allowed in ports, or they translate different websites. And if you hit a bunch of ports, a lot of hackers they ping the internet for open ports. So like port 80 is just HTTP on the internet, right? So they're actively pinging all websites that allow. It's crazy. But they're like actively pinging all websites with port 80 open because port 80 is not a secure internet port, right? It is HTTPS is 443, and that gets expanded in different ways as well. But HTTPS is internet browsing with security, right? The S at the end of HTTP means secure, right? So, um, but they're actively scanning all the internet all day for websites that are using port 80 because it's open. It's so easy to get into something using port 80, right? And you can grab whatever information you use. And you're like, why would somebody be using port 80 for something? Well, people definitely still do. So that's why they definitely still scan. People definitely still do. I've worked with a lot of networks in my life, and people definitely do. There are people that are using equipment from 1997. That was a year. That was a year. A lot of us were born. You feel me? The people from the 90s, and most of the equipment from the 90s is no longer supported. It has no software updates, no OS updates. You can't do anything for it. You can only run it like it is. And there are a bunch of companies who definitely do stuff like that. So, um, yeah. Before you ever deal with a company like a banking company or a company that's holding any of your information, you need to look up if they ever had any security breaches recently. You know, how many security breaches that company has before you ever deal with them. So I would never deal with Wells Fargo. Yeah, that's facts. Most companies are going digital. Most companies are going cloud based. Um, but most companies also don't know how to secure their cloud based devices. And a lot of their employees are learning how to secure these cloud based devices actively. You know, so they're not that good at it either. They're actively learning how to do it, which makes it even less. They're doing something, they're securing it, but it could still be holes there because they're not an expert in that field, right? So that's why you want to keep learning, right? Learning is never defeated. Learning is never defeated. You feel me? Learning is never defeated. You feel me? All right, public facing servers get hacked. Um, right? Hello world. So this is funny. This is one of the things they tell you how to do when you first learn how to code. This is literally the verbose of the code line to get you to use when you first learn how to code. Hello world. It's so funny. Public facing servers suffered a denial of service, so it got hacked, and now you're getting a DOS, denial of service attack, right? Um, Now you're getting DOSed. Oh man, now we can't do anything. Public name servers get, and then, oh, now he's getting hacked again. Now messaging allows transmission of a malicious attachment to private servers. Now it's getting internal. So it got hacked. Oh man. But now the hack is getting to the internal devices. Now, when these hacks get on these internal devices, they're a lot harder to get rid of. Now, when they get on these here, it's not that hard to get rid of the attacks that only got to this place, right? This 1, 2 right here is not that hard to stop the attacks here. You just got to notice them here. You gotta have a good alerting system that notices the attacks when they're in this state right here. But once they get here, oh Lord, lordy, lordy, boy, lordy, lordy, you might have to get a whole new system. I know, I know y'all be using old stuff, but but it's okay. So, but it's okay. It's okay. I'll be sending y'all text messages in the group chat to tell y'all not to open some of these things. Oh man. Um, but once it gets here, oh my goodness, boy, it is much, 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 much harder to get rid of. And when it gets here, you gotta destroy everything. The phones, the employee phones that got hacked, you gotta destroy them. Boy, it's crazy. I'm not gonna lie, boy. The steps are as follows. Public facing servers get hacked on a local network. Public facing servers connected to a local network or suffer denied of service. This is why a lot of companies, when they're dealing with like the smaller like 360 from time to time, yeah. Um, well, a lot of the there's 360 is still a supported device though. 360 still gets support from Xbox for things like that because I know people still use a 360 and stuff like that, right? Um, but then it comes to much older devices that can access the internet. So if uh, say a Nintendo 64 was able to access the internet nowadays, you know, say somebody was using a Sega Genesis on the internet right now, and he had to buy something through their Sega Genesis. What kind of secure platforms do you expect a Sega Genesis to be able to support? That's what I'm saying. you know, and that's why you gotta be careful about some of these older situations and some of these older devices, um, because they're just not supported as much. They're not as protected as they still should be because they're still used devices. People still use them, so they should still be getting support. To be completely honest, but that doesn't make you the money. You know, that's one of the things about this kind of stuff that they stop supporting some of these old devices because they don't make you the money. You can't support these devices forever because you stop making bread. you know, that's what kind of sucks about some of this stuff sometimes, man. If everything wasn't always about money all the time, it probably would be a much better place. That's funny, bro. Public facing name servers get hacked, message allowed transmission. Yep, yep. Just went over that. Yep, yep, yep. Okay, to evaluate the attack surface, you need to consider the attributes of threat actors that pose the most risk to your organization. For example, the attack surface for an external actor should be far smaller than an insider threat. Right? From a threat actor's perspective, each part of the attack surface represents a potential vector for attempting an intrusion. A threat vector just means that the different ways to threaten somebody is a path that a threat actor uses to execute a data exfiltration, service disruption, and disinformation attack. Sophisticated threat actors will make use of multiple vectors. They are likely to plan a multi-stage campaign rather than a single smash and grab type of raid. Right? So it's multiple. So if you're getting hacked by somebody, it's usually multiple legs in that race. Is all it's saying. If you're experiencing a hack, you need to be looking for multiple legs in that race because they're not just running alone. You know, highly capable actors will be able to develop novel vectors. So this means that the threat actor's knowledge of your organization's attack surface may be better than your own. So they go in and they scan through your network, find out all the weak points, and they like, I'm eating easy a food, you know. So you don't want to be you don't want to be this having them ooh, you know. All right, all right. Okay, vulnerable software vectors. Vulnerable software contains a flaw in its code or design that can be exploited to circumvent access control or to crash the process. Typically, vulnerabilities can only be exploited in quite specific circumstances and are often fixed patched swiftly by the vendor. However, because of the complexity of modern software and the speed with which new versions must be released to the market, almost no software is free from vulnerabilities. Also, an organization might not have an effective patch management system. Consequently, a vulnerable software is a commonly exploited threat vector. A large number of operating systems and applications running on a company's appliance servers, clients, and cloud networks directly increases the potential attack surface. This attack surface can be reduced by consolidating to fewer products and ensuring the same version of a product is deployed across an organization. So that means keeping all the systems up to date on the same code level. You feel me? That means when the company tells you to update your personal at home work computer, that means to update your personal at home work computer. That's what that means. Oh man. Oh yeah. You know, exactly because I have a Crunchyroll account, and so I had to consider whether or not I would keep my Crunchyroll account because they tried to hide the data breach. That's what Crunchyroll did actually. They tried to hide it and make it seem like something that it wasn't. Um, so I had to think about whether or not I wanted to still be linked with a company that was willing to be sketchy and hide the fact that it got hacked. You know. Um, which I mean, it sucks because they have to protect themselves. That's kind of how you have to think about it. They have to protect their reputations because once a company's reputation is gone, nobody's going to buy from them anymore. Um, and that sucks. And that's why companies kind of sometimes do shady stuff and try to hide things. Um, but if you everybody makes mistakes, companies make mistakes. They're still ran by people at the end of the day, right? People, companies, and things make mistakes, right? Um, you just have to you need to upgrade your stuff if you don't. Like I hope they learned from that situation and they decided to improve their infrastructure and do better with their security practices to make it safer for people who use their website and their application. So hopefully they actually learn from the situation and then they're not just still trying to sweep it under the rug and act like it never happened. You know. Yeah, they are killing off a bunch of pirating websites. They are attacking pirate websites right now, man. But I got shh. I might got something for you. All right. Client-based versus agentless. Scanning software helps organizations to automate the discovery and classification of software vulnerabilities. These tools can be used by threat actors. Facts. Well, he probably knows. They probably sent him an email about the hack. They send out emails to everybody about the hack. You can look up whether or not your information was in it or not. These tools can be used by threat actors as part of reconnaissance against a target. This scanning software can be implemented as a client-based agent. The agent runs as a scanning process installed on each host and reports to a management server. Alternatively, the vulnerability management product might use agentless techniques to scan a host without requiring any sort of installation. Agentless scanning is most likely to be used in threat actor reconnaissance. So what they're saying is, if it's not using the agent, it's probably somebody bad. If you notice something scanning your network and you don't know where it's coming from, you need to stop it from scanning your network. Is what it said. That's what that said. Okay. Vulnerable software gives a threat actor the opportunity to execute malicious code on a system. To do this, the threat actor must be able to run exploit code on the system or over a network to trigger the vulnerability. An exploit technique for any given software vulnerability can be classed as either remote or local. Remote means a vulnerability can be exploited by sending code to the target over a network and does not depend on that authenticated session of the system to execute. Local means that the exploit code must be executed from an authenticated session on the computer. The attack can still occur over a network, but the threat actor needs to use some valid credentials or hijack an existing session to execute it. So, just to break this down really quickly, remote means you can get into it from around the world, right? Local just means you have to be somewhere in the internal network on a internal network approved user account to get that hack to go through. And that means you just have to be able to steal somebody's credentials, right? And then log in as them, right? But that's why most companies have multi-factor authentication. Like that's like the base level of everything nowadays is multi-factor authentication. And if you don't have it turned on for your devices, you better turn it on. It at least saves you from somebody being able to steal that code off your phone for at least 2 minutes, you know? Also, when you get these codes, you should not sit on the codes forever, you know, because your text could be hijacked and some other bad actor could steal that code and log into your account. So if you're going to send yourself a code, you better log in, because once the code is validated, it can't be used again. A lot of times though, companies have like a time limit on when if you can use that last code again, maybe like an hour. Um, but that's quite a bit of time still, you know. That's why if you go in and use that old code that was sitting in your messages, it won't work. There's a timeout on that. There is a token attached to that code that was sent to you to verify your identity. And once you put that code in, it verifies you through the token, and then you're allowed into the account, right? Um, but let's get into lack of confidentiality. Oh, actually, I skipped this right here. So let's read this. Consequently, to minimize risk from software vulnerabilities, administrators must reduce the attack surface by eliminating unsecured networks. An unsecured network is one of the lacks. An unsecured net. One time. An unsecured network is one that lacks the attributes of confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Lack of confidentiality. Threat actors are able to snoop on network traffic and recover passwords and other sensitive information. These are also described as eavesdropping attacks. Lack of integrity. Threat actors are able to attach unauthorized devices. These could be used to snoop on traffic or intercept or modify it, run spoof services on apps, and then run exploit code against other network hosts. These are often described as on path attacks. Lack of availability. Threat actors are able to perform service disruption attacks. These are also described as DOS attacks, denial of service. So let's go over these three really quickly. Lack of confidentiality. Threat actors are able to snoop on network traffic and recover passwords and other sensitive information. These are eavesdropping, right? So you use a tool like Wireshark, right? Wireshark is a snooping tool that you can use on your own personal network. You can use it on your own personal computer, right? Anybody can download Wireshark. Um, but you can scan your network and watch the stuff and the ports and the protocols and things that come through Wireshark, right? If you were on a network at Starbucks, right, you could turn on Wireshark and scan through their network as well, because that network is probably open if you're on that network, right? Um, so that means you can see the ports that are being used and are being opened by the users that are also using that network at Starbucks with you. This is why I don't use public Wi-Fi unless I absolutely have to. If my internet is not absolutely working, but you know what also turns on when I use that public Wi-Fi? My VPN. Oh man, or my DNS my DNS resolver, so I can only go to trusted DNS servers and not a bad DNS server. I turn on my DNS snooper and I turn on my DNS resolver. You feel me? So I can only go to good DNS servers, which also increases my internet speed by like a millisecond or two. You feel me? But you feel me? But yeah, eavesdropping, right? A tool like Wireshark is just a simple tool you can use for that, right? Lack of integrity. Um, the threat actors are able to attach to unauthorized devices, right? So I used to do this thing back in the days, um, where There was I used to go around when I was deployed, and I had to go around looking for unauthorized network devices that were trying to send out network signals and deauthorize them, right? Um, and because they would be trying to spoof, or they'd be trying to listen in on other network stuff, so you have to get rid of them, right? And there's specific companies that aren't even allowed on military bases because they've been caught listening to information and being having backdoors to those devices. One of those companies was Huawei. Huawei was a crazy company. I remember back in the days, I had a Huawei phone. It got turned off and it still worked perfectly fine. The phone got turned off. The phone never turned off. I got in trouble, so they stopped paying my phone bill. But my phone never turned off. It still worked perfectly fine. Yeah, I don't really tell a lot of those. I don't really tell a lot of those stories, but I do every once in a while. If they correlate to what I'm talking about currently, yeah. But yeah, But yeah, that company crazy. The company interesting. But yeah, it's secure network uses, and I mean, yeah, yeah, for sure. But yeah, Huawei is a company that's not allowed on military installations. But a secure network uses an access control framework and cryptographic solutions to identify, authenticate, and authorize and audit network users, hosts, and traffic. I remember I had to send out a memorandum to tell people to stop using Huawei products on base. Some specific threat actors associated with unsecure networks are as follows. Direct access. The threat actor uses physical access to the site to perpetrate an attack. Examples could include getting access to an unlocked workstation, using a boot disk to try to install malicious tools, or physically stealing a PC, laptop, or disk drive. Direct access, pretty simple. Wired network. A threat actor with access to the site attaches an unauthorized device to the physical network port. Oh, this is why you shut down all ports on your switches. Um, you shut down all the ports, all the open ports on your switches, right? Because somebody could walk in, plug right into that switch, and be on the network. If that port wide open, if it's already configured with a VLAN, right? You feel me? All you can do is plug your device in. If it's like the correct kind of device, which is all you need is a laptop. Most of the time, you right there. You own the network. Now run that Wireshark, baby. Okay, remote and wireless network. The attacker either obtains credentials from a remote access or wireless connection to the network or cracks the security protocols used for authentication. Alternatively, the attacker spoofs a trusted resource, such as an access point, and uses it to perform credential harvesting and then uses the stolen account details to access the network. So, one of these things, so it included Wi Fi in there. So, I'm going to talk about Wi Fi really quickly, right? So Wi Fi SSIDs. Um, just the identifier for the network name that you connect to. So your network name, right? Whatever it is, Apple Jacks crumbles, or my family's the best, or Tusi Slide, Two Drive, or whatever your your Wi-Fi name is, could be spoofed, right? And all that means is just like one character's off in the name. So if you're not paying attention, right, that spoof network could gain the password to your Wi-Fi because you're going to try to log into that Wi-Fi really quickly. So you don't realize that there's one character off in that spoof SSID name. You go log in, put your password in, and now he has the password to the Wi-Fi. So now I'm going to get onto that Wi-Fi, and I can get whatever information I want off that Wi-Fi that you only wanted your users to be able to use. So now I know there's a reason to get on that Wi-Fi, you know? But let's get into cloud access. Many companies now run part of all their network services via internet accessible clouds. The attacker only needs to find one account, service, or host with weak credentials to gain access. The attacker is likely to target the accounts used to develop services in the cloud or manage cloud systems. They may also try to attack the cloud service provider CSP as a way of accessing the victim system. Now, Bluetooth network. The threat actor exploits a vulnerability or misconfiguration to transmit a malicious file to a user's device over the Bluetooth personal area wireless network protocol. Yeah, Bluetooth can also be hacked as well. No, if you knew that. No, if you didn't know that. Bluetooth is also susceptible to being hacked. I mean, it should be clear because you can uh, a part of the whole tap process is like Bluetooth, right? So when you tap your cards on stuff, a part of that whole process is like based on the waves from Bluetooth, right? So um, just like that could be hacked, Bluetooth could be hacked too. Default credentials. The attacker gains control of a network device or app because it has been left configured with a default password. Default credentials are likely to be published in the product setup documentation or otherwise easy to discover. Never use a default password. Open service port. The threat actor is able to establish an unauthenticated connection to a logical TCP or UDP network port. The server will run an application and process network traffic arriving over the port. The software might be vulnerable to exploit the code or to service disruption. You use Bluetooth for a lot of stuff. Bluetooth is inherently in most things that you use. Um, Bluetooth is inherently in a lot of processes. You just don't know. Um, yeah, Bluetooth, the technology that Bluetooth uses is inherently in a lot of stuff. So if and your Bluetooth is always on, right? So I can get into your phone because your Bluetooth on. You know, I can get them pictures on your phone because your Bluetooth phone. You know, you don't want nobody to see them pictures in that phone, don't you? So you don't allow don't be accepting devices to connect to your device. You know, if you see stuff like that, say no. Never allow your device to connect to anything that you can't verify. You know, a lure is something superficially attractive or interesting that causes its target to want it, even though it may be concealing something dangerous, like a hook. In cybersecurity terms, when a target opens a file bait, it delivers a malicious payload hook that will typically give the threat actor control over the system or perform service disruption. If the threat actor cannot gain sufficient access to run a remote or local exploit directly, a lure might trick a user into facilitating the attack. The following media are commonly used as lures. Remove a device. The attacker conceals malware on a USB thumb drive or memory card. Oh, these used to be crazy back in the days. Um, USBs, boy, you could not carry around USBs back in the days, boy. And that's funny. I'm saying back in the days, but like technology has changed so much in the 10 years that I've been doing IT. Technology has changed a lot, you know. Um, but back in the days, USBs, you never wanted to use nobody USB. Oh man. So when should you cut your? If you're not using your Bluetooth, you should cut off your Bluetooth. Turn it on only when you're using it. If you're not using your Bluetooth, you should turn it off. Um, there's really no reason because if it's on, it's always sending out signals. If your Bluetooth on all the time, it's always sending out signals to try to get something to attach to it. Because oh, I'm over here. My name, Mr. Core's iPhone. Mr. Core's iPhone. I'm right over here. Mr. Core's iPhone. Do you see me? Mr. Core's iPhone. Anybody looking for a Bluetooth connection? Ooh, Mr. Core's iPhone. Let me connect to that real quick. If I mess around and pocket hit accept in my pocket without knowing, it's up. Mr. Core's iPhone. Oh man, I'm out here. Mr. Core's iPhone broadcast. I'm out here out in the open. Mr. Core's iPhone. Oh man. All right, but let's get into executable files. Before we get into that, there used to be there still are, but there are like USBs that can destroy a whole computer. There are USBs that you plug in your computer and it will literally brick the entire computer. You know, it's literally made to brick the entire computer. But let's get into executable file. The threat actor conceals exploit code in a program file. One example is a Trojan horse, one of the oldest horses in the game, the Trojan. Trojan man. A Trojan is a program that seems to be something free and useful or fun, but it actually contains a process that will create backdoor access to the computer for the threat actor. Why is the Trojan horse the backdoor access? Because of the Trojan horse that was used in that for the Trojan War or whatever it's called back in the days. So if you ever forget what a Trojan horse is, Remember the concept of that big horse that they gave to the Greeks back in the days, right? They backdoored a way into the inside of the wall because the Greeks had that big wall at the time and nobody could break through the big wall, right? You can't get through our wall, right? But the Trojans, they said, we got a horse. We got a horse. We're gonna put this horse in here as a peace offering, right? That's as a peace offering. While all the Greeks got drunk because they thought they won, right? The Trojans sitting in the horse, and in the middle of the night, they hopped out the back door. Bam! Now we're in the city. Pillage and plunder. You feel me? Pillage and plunder. Oh no, it's up. Oh no, what do we do? That's a Trojan horse. You got a back door was opened. You feel me? If you ever want to remember what that is, there you go. Document files. The threat actor conceals malicious code by embedding it in the word processing and PDF format files. It can take advantage of scripting features or simply exploit a vulnerability in the document viewer or editor software. Yeah, this is true. You don't want to just open up random files. You want to open up files only from trusted sources. This is what I'm saying. You don't open files from untrusted emails you get in your email. I don't care how enticing it look. Don't open that file. Don't click on that file. Don't touch it. Because as soon as you open that file, it's up. And you better not save it to your phone or your computer, or it's really up. Okay, image files. The threat actor conceals exploit code within an image file that targets a vulnerability in browser or document editing software. Oh, so you thought them internet images on Google were safe? They're not safe. You better just screenshot that image. Don't download it. Oh man. You better just screenshot that image. You better not download it. You feel me? These vectors expose a large and diverse attack surface from the USB and flash card readers installed on most computers to the software used to browse websites, view and edit documents. And reducing this attack surface requires effective endpoint security management using controls such as vulnerability management, antivirus program I'm reading too fast. Using controls such as vulnerability management, antivirus, program execution control, and intrusion detection. So that means, what do you want to have on your computer? An antivirus software of some sort. And you don't want it to be just a trash antivirus software. You feel me? You wanted to have these things in it. You wanted specifically to have these capabilities: vulnerability management, an antivirus, an actual antivirus, program execution control, and intrusion detection. And usually, when you pay for antivirus yourself, the antivirus program, they let you set these things up, right? And you definitely want to set that up yourself. 225. Shout out to 252, baby. Message based vectors. When using a file based lure, the threat actor needs, let me read chat real quick. Even those view once messages pictures, they can just grab another phone and take a picture. Yeah, I mean, um, if it's a file in your email and you don't know, if you can't verify whose email that is or what company that email came from, you don't want to open those images. Just in general, you don't want to click on those images. Just like earlier, I said you don't want to click on those links, um, because as soon as you click on them, you have there's a chance that there is kind of like almost like a quick start virus, that as soon as you click on the image, it automatically starts doing what it's going to do. You know, um, you don't want to download the image, definitely, right? But you also don't even want to click on it. But these things can still be mitigated. You can still protect yourself and protect even your cell phone with an antivirus on your phone, or um, uh, you having a VPN on your phone, right? Or uh, or just uh, good habits. Just having good habits on your phone. You have to have some. You kind of have to have like some good habits, right? Curiosity killed the cat sometimes. You know, curiosity don't always kill the cat. I don't really believe in that saying, but hey, sometimes curiosity do kill that cat. You know, so be careful. All right, now email. I was just talking about this. We're gonna talk about it real quick. They gave you they said that you asked the question, they gave you the answer, baby. Email. The attacker sends a malicious file attachment via email or via any other communication system that allows attachments. Attachments. The attacker needs to use social engineering techniques to persuade or trick the user into opening the attachment. They are trying to get you to open the attachment. Social engineering is just making you feel safe. That's what a social engineer does. If somebody trying to make you feel safe too much, you probably shouldn't trust them. I'm telling you right now. That's what I learned over my life. Somebody trying to make me feel too safe, I don't trust you. I don't trust you. What you want? What you want? But yeah, social engineering. Uh, Something I learned how to do when I was a kid because I watched the movie. It was a Will Smith movie. It's one of my favorite movies. It's the pickpocketing movie. It's one of my favorite movies. I can't remember what it is. Focus. There we go. Focus. You know, focus. I learned sleight of hand when I was a kid too. Focus. You feel me? You feel me? I learned about focus when I was a kid. That movie was one of my favorite movies, and I recommend everybody watch it. I recommend everybody watch that movie. I feel like it's a great movie to watch. Don't pay attention. Some of the stuff is just a great concept to think about. I like concepts. I don't really get caught up in all the other stuff. I pay attention to what I'm being shown, and I kind of move on with my life. And then I'll enjoy the movie at a different time. Short message service SMS. So you can get it also in your text messages, right? The file or link to the file is sent to a mobile device using the text message handler built into the smartphone firmware and a protocol called Signal System 7 (SS7). SMS and SS7 protocol are associated with numerous vulnerabilities. Additionally, an organization is unlikely to have any monitoring capability for SMS, as it is operated by the headset or subscriber identity module SIM card provider. Focus, the movie in 526 BC is funny. No, it's a Will Smith movie. Will Smith Focus. I'm not saying it's the best movie in the world, but I love the media, the message concepts in the movie. I love the message concepts. I'm a message concepts kind of guy. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, Instant messaging, IM. There are many replacements for SMS that run on Windows, Android, and iOS devices. These can support voice and video messaging plus file attachments. Ooh, they love this, man. That's what I'm saying. That's why I be reiterating about these attachments. They love these attachments now. Most of these services are secure by using encryption and offer considerably more security than SMS, but they can still contain software vulnerabilities. The use of encryption can make it difficult for an organization to scan messages and attachments for threats. All right, that's applications. What's that? WhatsApp. WhatsApp is a scam. Web and social media. Malware may be concealed in files. Web and social media. Malware may be concealed in files that are attached to posts or presented as downloads. An attacker may compromise a site so that it automatically infects vulnerable browser software, a drive-by download. Social media may also be used more subtly, such as disinformation campaign that persuades users to install must-have app that is actually a Trojan. Mm, they said, they said, them YouTube ads, them YouTube ads with them fake games, them YouTube ads. Oh man, you funny. Hey Wes, chill out, bro. Oh man, that's funny. Hey, yeah, I love the story, brother. I'm a story kind of fellow. I love story, man. I love the hype moments too. We gotta have the hype moments. You feel me? You gotta have the hype. That's what get you to watch it. But hey, I'm a story driven fella. I'm a story driven fella. I used to want to write when I was a kid, but there's just so much punctuation in English literature that it just turned me off. But I used to love writing stories. I don't know if you can tell how I be telling stories. That's like my way of communicating with people is by telling stories. Um, uh, but yeah, you know. But if it wasn't for the English language, I probably would have been a book writer. I know, right? The product is literally a Trojan, you know? Please never download those fake games and them YouTube ads. Please never download those fake games and them YouTube ads. Oh man. Boy, okay. But messages can be exploited by a threat vector to persuade a user to reveal the password or weaken the security configuration using some type of pretext. This type of attack may be perpetrated by placing a voice call to the user. Them phone calls. Yeah, right. I love writing stories, man. It's my favorite thing to do. Story writing, it really expands the mind and the imagination. All right, supply chain attack service. A supply chain is the end-to-end process of designing, manufacturing, and distributing goods and services to a customer. Rather than attack the target directly, a target actor may seek ways to infiltrate it via companies in the supply chain. One high-profile example of this is the Target data breach, which was made via credentials held by the company's building systems vendor. See, I'm telling you, the weakest link is the people, right? So everybody has to take care of their stuff, right? That's why companies they have like time frames on how long you can have a password, right? Because people will reuse the same password 1,000 times. Thank you, Auntie. Thank you, Auntie. You know, the process of ensuring reliable sources of equipment and software is called procurement management, and procurement management is helpful to distinguish several types of relationships. Supplier obtains products directly from a manufacturer to sell in bulk to other businesses. This type of trade is referred to as a business to business B2B. Vendor obtains products from suppliers to sell to retail business B2B or directly to customers B2C. A vendor might add some level of customization and direct support. Ooh, business partner implies a closer relationship where two companies share quite closely aligned goals and marketing opportunities. Okay. Um, so we want to give maybe some examples, right? Um, and me some of this watermelon. Hydrate. Mm, I feel good. Re-energized, brain ready to read, baby. Let's go. Oh man. All right, supplier. So supplier, clear. A supplier would be someone like the company Fortinet. It's a firewall company, right? Or um, not really. No, not really. That's the vendor. The supplier would be like that's where they get their parts from. So it'd be like what would that be? Samsung is a really big supplier of the chips right now for AI, right? Samsung and this other company have a really big monopoly on the chips used for AI right now, right? So they're the supplier, right? The vendor would be Fortinet because the vendor Fortinet buys the chips for the AI from one of these um, suppliers who has the what would you call it the noose on the neck of the market right now. They got the noose on the neck of the market right now for AI chips right now, right? So the vendor would be a company like Fortinet, and the business partner would be a company that's buying and working with the company Fortinet to get the firewalls and then sell them to their customers, right? Um, right? So supplier would be the Samsung, the vendor would be Fortinet, and the business partner would be the company like we would say what's that internet company Spectrum. Spectrum sells internet and firewalls and stuff like that, right? So um, and they sell cloud infrastructure, right? So they would partner with a company like Fortinet and get their firewalls from that company and then sell them to their customers, right? So just to break down how that chain works and give an example of that, right? Oh, they gave one. For example, Microsoft is a major manufacturer and vendor, but it's not feasible for it to establish direct relationships with all potential customers. To expand its markets, it develops partner relationships with original equipment manufacturers, OEMs, and solution partners. Microsoft operates a program of certification and training for its partners, which improves product support and security awareness. Each supplier and vendor has its own supply chain. For example, a motherboard manufacturer and supplier will use companies to fabricate individual chip components. The supply chain extends to distribution, so delivery companies and couriers are a part of it. The supply chain breadth and complexity expose organizations to a huge attack surface. For example, for a computer motherboard to be trustworthy, the supply chain of chip manufacturer, firmware code developer, OEM reseller, courier developer. Golly, let me slow down. Too many commas, not enough slow down reading, baby. The supply chain of chip manufacturer, the firmware co-developer, OEM reseller, courier delivery company, and administrative staff responsible for provisioning the computing device to the end user must all be trustworthy. Golly, that's a mouthful. Anyone with the time and resources to modify the computer's firmware could create backdoor access. The same is true for any computer or network hardware, software, or service. Establishing a trusted supply chain for computer equipment and services essentially means denying malicious actors the time or resources to modify the assets supplied. The IT industry also depends on trade and services as well as physical assets. A managed service provider, MSP, provisions and support IT resources such as networks, security, or web infrastructure. MSPs are useful when an organization finds it cheaper or more reliable to outsource all or part of IT provision rather than try to manage it directly. From a security point of view, this type of outsourcing is complex as it can be difficult to monitor, the MSP. The MSP employees are all potential sources of insider threat. And that's a fact. I'm not gonna lie. The MSP employees are all threats to your infrastructure if you buy stuff from a third party, like a company like a Spectrum. If you were to outsource your IT department internally to a Spectrum um, company like that, you would be inherently relying on their people who work for them to be trustworthy. Because now they can get access to all of your equipment, right? Whoever that individual is could get access to any of your equipment. So you really want to work with trusted and reputable sources, and then when you work with the people you are partnering with, you want to understand who is building, and you want to be able to trust the person that's building your stuff. Business email compromise. Where phishing is typically associated with mass mailer attacks, business email compromise refers to a sophisticated campaign that targets a specific individual within a company, typically an executive or senior manager. The threat actor poses as a colleague, business partner, or a vendor. The threat actor is likely to perform reconnaissance to obtain a detailed understanding of the target and the best psychological approach and pretext to trick them. They're unlikely to use obvious features of mass mailer phishing messages, such as spoof links or malware file attachments. To, perpet- to perpetrate this type of high stakes attack, the threat actor might try to first gain control of a legitimate mail account to use to send the phishing messages. Oh, now we're gonna get into them emails at companies when you're working for them companies, boy. Fake in pretending to be some big wig at the company. This is that section. Excuse me. Sorry about that, chat. The watermelon was so juicy. There's so much hydration in the watermelon right there, man. I'm just feeling good. If you really want to be hydrated, you got to eat some of them fruits. They got them real waters in them. Got that real water in it with them with all the things you need and all the things that actually hydrate your being for real. Brand impersonation means the threat actor commits resources to accurately duplicate a company's logos and formatting, fonts, colors, and heading body paragraph styles to make a phishing message or farming website a visually compelling fake. The threat actor could even mimic the style or tone of email communication or website copy. They could try to get a phishing site listed in high search results by using realistic content. Disinformation, misinformation tactics could be used to create fake social media posts or refer sites that link to fake site posts to boost search ranking. Disinformation refers to a purposeful motivation to deceive. Misinformation refers to repeating false claims or rumors without intention to deceive. A disinformation campaign might attempt to get others to repeat and amplify the false acts it creates as misinformation. Which one? What do you want to speak about this in person? What do you mean by that? I'm confused. What were we talking about? um, I have so many things to go through my head. I have no idea what we were talking about last. All right, brand impersonation, right? So let's go about this one. This is a big one that's used common. This is a very common thing that's done, very common attack that's done. Um, so a way to combat these brand impersonations is to you can easily Google a website's reputability on Google. You just type in, is this site reputable? And there's literally a Google a web page that goes through and tells you whether or not this page is reputable or if it had any website breaches recently. You can really just go through that right there. But a whole person impersonating your colleague. I mean, yeah, but at the same time, you can't do everything in person, right? You can't do everything in person, um, you know, so sometimes you work say in a business, right? There's so many remote workers nowadays, right? Uh, it's people in every geolocation you could think of, right? We all working together for one company, and this one company just happens to be in North Carolina, but it's somebody from every state that work at the company somehow, right? Because we're remote workers, right? So remote working really introduced this problem at a grand scale, um, and that's why remote workers are expected to pay attention to what they're doing at work, um, because with so many people being across and having to share information from across the world, or you're the big wig at the company, right, sends a big email to the entire company, right, and he actively always sends emails to the entire company, right, so everybody in the company gets these, and then one day somebody impersonates the big wig in the company. Maybe one character is off in his email name, right? Maybe there's one character off in his email name, but you don't notice it because you don't always read his email name, right? So now you're responding to a fake person with your company email. So now he's gathered information on who works here, whose email is here, right? Um, and who he could potentially be able to get information out of. Because all that does is expose you as a weak link, Now, watering hole attack. A watering hole attack relies on a group of targets that use an unsecured third party website. For example, staff running an international e commerce website might use a local pizza delivery firm. A threat actor might discover this fact through social engineering or other reconnaissance of the target. An attacker can compromise the pizza delivery firm's website so that it runs exploit code on visitors. They may be able to infect the computers of the e-commerce company's employees and penetrate the e-commerce company systems. Golly. One more time, chat. A watering hole attack relies on a group of targets that use an unsecured third-party website. Mm, come on. It's when these companies tell you to use apps like WhatsApp. Oh, let's text on WhatsApp. The company that sells your data to the government. Let's text on allegedly. I don't want to get sued. Allegedly sells your information to the government. Oh man, it's funny. An attacker can compromise a piece of delivery firm's website so that it runs exploit code on visitors. It may be able to affect the computers of the e-commerce company's employees and penetrate the e-commerce company systems. Mm-mm-mm. Ooh. And lesson 2-3. Let's see where we're at in the outline real quick. Okay. I've been going for over 3 hours now. I think I'm gonna take a brain break. I'm gonna take a brain break. I'm at an hour and 30 minutes, 30 minutes on this stream. I've done three different streams on three different platforms today. So, I'm at hour 3 or 4 right now. I think I'm gonna take a brain break, eat some food, and I'll be back to continue section 2, 3 when I come back. Is that okay? Is that okay? Can I eat some food real quick and use the bathroom and take a little break real quick? I think I'm probably gonna do my 1.0 test in the meantime before I come back on. So then, by the time we come back to finish up two, Um, you're not a loser. You're not a loser. You're in my chat. No one in my chat's a loser. Um, and even if you were, who cares? No one cares about stuff like that. It's stuff not real. Oh man. Hey, Joe Daniel had to ask me. I do have to ask you though. You feel me? Because y'all my gang, y'all my friends. You feel me? Gang go slide like 10 times. Tap. You feel me? Gang go slide 10 times. Tap for real. But yeah, I'm gonna be back. I'll be back probably like an hour. Probably get back on stream at like 6 or 7, and I'm gonna probably go into like 10, just so I can get through. I was expecting to do like and my homie's supposed to call me on FaceTime in like 30 minutes anyway. So I'm gonna talk to the homie on FaceTime. He felt like he needed to talk to me about something, so I'm gonna talk to the homie. Um, but I'll be back like 6 or 7. You feel me? And I'm gonna go to like 10. I'm trying to get at least to halfway into section 3 by the end of today. Um, so we probably get into section 3 today, and then we'll keep on going with the stories and the learning and all the stuff, and making it fun because learning is fun. You feel me? Because learning is fun. Learning is supposed to be fun. You feel me? 6 7. Learning is supposed to be fun. You feel me? So hope y'all enjoy. Hope y'all enjoy this, and we're gonna be back later around 6 or 7. All right, peace. Much love from from this side, and I can't wait to see y'all later on today. Peace. We out of here, core. Peace. Love y'all.